After our second GP, there's been an ongoing conversation about Mercedes and their pretty controversial front wing. What looks to be pretty normal in real time is actually something very clever from the German team. Many people calling it illegal and something that should not be allowed because of the FIA regulations, but we're going to go into that, talking about how this works, what are the benefits around this front wing, and have Mercedes made something brilliant, a new innovation in these 2026 regs, which is something I believe we're going to be seeing a lot. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Thank you all for the support. It's been fantastic. Let's get started. Let's talk about Mercedes and their controversial wing. Now, with this going into a new regulation period, this was something that was more than likely going to happen, and now we are seeing it. With the rear and the front both being active, there was always going to be some differences. When I initially saw this, I pretty much believed that this was kind of a fault. They didn't want this happening, but because of the way that the mechanism works, the FIA was allowing some type of leeway for teams, because it wasn't just Mercedes doing this, but for the other teams, it looks different. It seems much more abrupt, and for the Mercedes, it definitely seems like it's been done with some purpose. There is a reason why it is closing a little bit slower. The exact rule in the technical regulations in Article C3.10, any adjustment of the front wing profiles controlled by the FIA standard must have a maximum transition time between two fixed positions that does not exceed 400 milliseconds. And at some point this was 600, but they've toned it down. There's a sensor that's wired to the wing actuator that the FIA monitors in real time. If it takes longer than 0.4 seconds to go from fully open to fully closed, or vice versa, it's illegal. It should be as simple as that. Well, Mercedes has found a pretty brilliant way, in my opinion, to bend this. So on paper, Mercedes is actually not breaking that 400 millisecond limit. Instead, they've split the transition in two distinct phases, with some of the media calling it a biphase or a two-step phase, however you'd like to say it. The flat moves just a few millimeters, enough for the FIA sensor to register a fully closed or corner mode achieved, all inside that legal 400 millisecond window. And then phase 2, the flap continues moving slowly to its final fully closed aerodynamic position. This second phase happens after the sensor has already signed off. Visually on trackside footage from China, you can see the wing doesn't snap shut in one clean motion like everyone else's. Some teams, like I said, are the exception, but does not seem to be as intentional as the Mercedes one. You can see there's some intent behind what they're doing because it happens every time. But it does that quick first step, pauses or slows dramatically, then finishes closing over what looks like about 800 milliseconds, almost double the time from what is allowed. But obviously that sensor is only catching the first phase. Now, as I said, when I initially saw this, I thought, what was the advantage? Why would Mercedes end up doing this? But looking over a couple of things, hearing what some experts are saying, it does make a lot of sense as to why you would do this and how beneficial this can actually be. Because of that sudden full transition, when the car slams on its brakes, the balance and pressure distribution forward or backward in a split second changes the handling completely. And we've even seen that with the Macarena wing or rotisserie wing, whatever you'd like to call it. The snap that the driver can feel going under braking can be very sudden. Obviously, one of the advantages, you shed a bit more drag, but the bigger advantage is that you can bias the aero towards the rear part of the car for balance. It helps keep the rear more stable during that transition from regeneration load to corner entry brake application, which is super important for these cars because they're transitioning consistently from a mode with very little downforce to a mode with a decent amount of downforce. It makes the car's handling much easier, and this helps already a very strong engine with Mercedes. So basically, it just makes for a much more smoother ride than that of a disrupted handling like some of the cars are struggling with. So the FIA is looking into this because Ferrari, after the GP, ended up saying, is this something that's allowed? Can you take a look at this? Will there be a change? Is this illegal? Is it genius? I really think this is a smart innovation. I said the same thing for the Mini DRS when we saw it on the McLaren car in 2024. And its teams taking it to the limit, seeing what they can do going around these sensors. You can make the same argument that Ferrari tried doing that with the engine. They ended up getting that patched right away, and it really hurt them in the long run. Something like this, aerodynamically at least, is giving them an advantage. I think it's smart, but I also think it's something teams could copy. I don't think this hurts the way that the regulations work. Formula One has always been about finding those gaps, and Mercedes, in this case, has found something of a loophole. I do expect this to get patched within the next upcoming races. They're probably going to take a look at this in Japan. They might either turn it off and have a completely different phase and it not be that two-step like we saw in China, or they could make the argument to the FIA that they need a couple of GPs to end up fixing this. I think the difference that it'll make for the car will be slight, and maybe it'll be a little less balanced than it was previously going into corner entry. But the fact is, the Mercedes car is the quickest car. In its engine department, it's already leading everybody by a decent margin, if not by 10 to 20 horsepower, if not even more. So while I do think it's smart from Ferrari to protest this to the FIA, I don't think this is going to be the game changer they need to really catch that Mercedes car. There's been a video also circulating around that Ferrari has some type of front wing thing that's happening. And from what I've observed in the video that I'm showing you right now, it pretty much looks like that's the braking phase for the car. I don't think they're doing anything smart on the front wing end, even if it does look like that full plate is dropping lower. The way that these cars dive into those corners, it just makes sense downforce wise, that when the front and the rear wing closes, more downforce and load transfer is added to the car. So we see that front wing dip as well as every other part of the car. So I don't think it's anything smart, nor do I think it's something that they've made as a loophole. For Mercedes' end, this looks intentional. I don't think it's a mistake like I previously thought. I really believe we're still in the beginning phase of seeing what teams can do from the active aero side, because as we've seen through testing and even getting now to our third GP, the rear wing mechanism with Alpine having their own system, Audi then ended up copying that, and some teams keeping that same system that's been around for a long time now. It's pretty similar to that of the DRS mechanism. Now in the front wing, we're going to see that change a lot. There was a bunch of rumors also that Aston Martin had a different front wing mechanism, so they were hiding off the front of their car at some point. Now we're more visibly seeing that with Mercedes. Both teams have it on the second flap, not the end. And Ferrari, I guess, has their own version if we want to go based off the video. I don't think it's necessarily a loophole of any kind like the Mercedes one is, but it's their way of reducing the pitch of the car. Well, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I can definitely see Ferrari fans not liking that this is the case, but if it was made on the Ferrari car, what would your argument be? I think it's pretty genius. We're going to see a lot of innovation through the season, and you got to tip your hat off to Mercedes. They've done a pretty good job. I don't think this is the only thing that's giving them that car advantage. They're just great in the engine department, and we're really going to see a change come Miami time. But as of right now, I can still see them being the front leading car with or without the front wing trick. Thank you all for stopping by. Please leave a like, subscribe. It'd mean the world, and peace.